You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
And from the border of liberty and prosperity and the highway to the north, this is Safety Wars. Coming to you from sunny Clarkstown, New York. Sunny, I'm being a little bit joking there with you. So, hold on 1 minute. Anyway, we had a little interruption. So, we're on the air. This is safetyfm.com. We're on the air from 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, for everybody else on the West Coast, that's Drive Time. Got a lot going on here. We're going to go to a brief break right here so I can handle something in the background. Remember, it's the end of the day.
In the professional safety community, communication and planning are just a few keys to your program's success. The question many practitioners have is, where do I start? Dr. Jay Allen, the creator of the Safety FM platform and host of the Rated R Safety Show, has built a global foundation to help you along the way. Go to safetyfm.com and listen to some of the industry's best and most involved professionals, including Blaine Hoffman with the Safety Pro, Sam Goodman with the Hop Nerd, Sheldon Primus with the Safety Consultant, Jim Pozell with Safety Wars, Emily Elrod with Unapologetically Bold, and many others. As individuals, we can do great things, but as a team, we become amazing. Dial into safetyfm.com today and surround yourself with a powerful force of knowledge and support.
You are listening to Safety Wars. Tomorrow's Safety Today.
Okay, I am going to issue a little disclaimer here like I always have. I really should put this into a official promo here. So all of the cases I mentioned and everything I hear, I mentioned with OSHA citations, OSHA fines, crimes, anything like that. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty. And as far as the penalties, especially those that I read from government websites, those are all proposed and they usually get negotiated down or vacated or what have you. So as along those lines, I try to, and I skip, I mess up sometimes. I try to not give names on certain things. Sometimes I fail to do that. I'm reading the articles and everything else. So what's going on tonight? Thank God nothing really major went on tonight with in the world of safety. No, it's just, let's remember, there are 2.8 million on-the-job injuries a year, and somewhere around 5,000, give or take, workplace fatalities in the United States every year. And that means that you're getting, like, with the, you're getting several, right, when you average it out, over the course of this program. Injuries, fatalities, and everything else. And that's what we're here for. We're here to help prevent those. And we're into, no, and I hesitate to use the word root cause, but that's like what everybody else seems to use. We're trying to get away from that because things always have a lot of root causes. So, for example, recently I was dealing with a workplace violence incident at one of my client facilities, and they said, well, the perpetrator, two people got into an argument over some stuff. Details aren't necessarily germane to what I'm about to say here. And one guy was the owner of the company, got into it with somebody else. All right. Okay. A couple of days later, we get a visit from another coworker, another worker that says, and this is a construction project, look, this guy, I can't handle him the way he manages people, yelling and screaming and everything else at everybody and antagonizing them. In short, he didn't use these words. Everything was being escalated for a whole host of reasons. Money, schedule, everything else that goes on in construction. So here's the question for you. Root cause. What was the root cause of the first incident? You're going to say, well, the employee that got fired, he's to blame because he started the fight. He started fisting, blah, 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 blah. Put up his fist and started hitting. Well, guess what? Is that really the root cause? Because now the guy comes back 2 days later, there's another problem, and with the worker threatening violence with this guy and everything. So what's the root cause here? One of the root causes, I would say, might be the owner of that company because he's constantly antagonizing, yelling, and screaming at everybody. And now that we're in the world post-COVID, I mean, I can sit here every day and read articles here to you over the air where people are not taking baloney anymore, are not taking Guvno. There's a sense of entitlement, it's been said. Maybe that's a little bit harsh. Maybe a more appropriate description would be that people realize that they're being abused and they're speaking out on it. I had pointed this out going on now 13 years ago. Maybe 13 years ago this month, I know I found an old letter that I wrote to a political colleague when I was in politics that one day people are not going to put up with this crap anymore that people are doing, and there's going to be problems. And it was, I'm not saying I'm Nostradamus or any soothsayer. Anybody who watches trends could see what's going on. And sure enough, even before COVID, people aren't taking this stuff with the cancel culture and everything else. They're saying stuff. Now, you try to make a little joke with someone that you've been joking around with for years, and all of a sudden, oh, well, you know what? It's bothered me for the last 10 years, 12 years. I haven't said anything. Can you please stop? People are speaking out. People are becoming more articulate. Part of this is with social media, where people are, again, being manipulated to do things that maybe they wouldn't have done before, or encouraged, or at least getting more articulate. We have all this stuff. It's like the perfect storm here. So what's a coaching session from Safety Wars look like with that? Coaching session is, look, you got to stop doing what you're doing, guy. This is the way it is. This isn't 30 years ago where you could go around, intimidate, scream, and yell, and curse people out and expect them not to say something or do something. That's not realistic anymore. So you need to, now, I cannot necessarily control what other people are doing. However, if I go out there and openly antagonize people are under a lot of stress today. I was talking to someone yesterday. He was out of work for 5 months. He says, we can't make it on just my wife's salary here. And they went into credit card debt. They went into personal loan debt. They had to borrow money from people and things that they wouldn't normally borrow money from. And now they're feeling a lot of stress. And now you have a guy out there screaming and yelling at people. You don't know what people are going through at home. People are sick. Deaths in the family. Recovering from COVID. Some people, they quote unquote recovered from COVID, but they're not the same. They're not the same person, not the same abilities. You have college students that are coming out of college and they feel, and this is my rant, this is my old man's rant for tonight, and they feel that because their professors told them that they should be making $175,000 a year right out of college, and now all of a sudden, then they finance their education through student loans and other things. Now all of a sudden, they don't have that. They were planning on getting that $175,000 a year salary. Guess what? They're not getting it. They can't pay their loans. And that interest just keeps on adding up and adding up. You have a lot of stuff going on here in the workplace and outside the workplace. And it's not pretty with what's going on. And now we jack up all the other stuff that's going on, right? War in Ukraine. Russian, and I wanted to say Soviet, but Russian ships off the coast. Yeah, they always had submarines and everything out there, but now they're back and it's on the news. You have in Southeast Asia and Asia, the COVID outbreak in China. You have a lot of stuff going on out there. And in reference to our program last night where I went through Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. What's one of the rules for radicals? Keep the pressure on. Just keep the pressure on. Because if you keep on putting the pressure on people, now they're more easily manipulated. Happens in the workplace, it happens everywhere in society, right? Find your weak spot. They know people are going to be freaked out over the economy, over jobs, over future prospects. You got COVID, you got everything else going on. Guess what? Now you're able to be manipulated. And you find out that social media companies are even admitting this now, how they're playing games with the algorithms. So news is tailor-made to you. And some people are on the other end, and they're self-radicalizing on this stuff. Not only Islamic terrorists, which we were told to be afraid of all these years and everything else. I'll be afraid of the Islamic terror. Well, guess what? You have every religion, we have radicals. You even have radical atheists out there. I've met them over the years. There's radicals all over the place that are being radicalized. Now, the question is not, well, what's the government going to do about it? Well, guess what? The government's going to do what the government's going to do. The question is going to be, what are you going to do about it, and how are you going to prepare your family, and are you going to allow yourself to be manipulated? Are you going, right? And this goes back, the reason why I shared the rules for radicals last night, how it applies for safety, and pushback and everything that we see, is that these are the ways that we get manipulated into doing things. This is how we get controlled. This is how other groups initiate societal change, by keeping the pressure on and everything else. And let's face it, there are good politicians out there, both sides of the aisle and in the middle. There are good government employees out there. Government employees are like everybody else. Most employees want to do the right thing, but you have a couple of people that are, for lack of a better word, and I know we're not supposed to say this, bad apples. That's any workplace. You don't believe me? Look at your own workplace or places where you've worked, or if you're places where you go. There's always one or two employees in that whole situation there that maybe aren't working as hard, right? Because you have human resources issues all over. And what happens? Nobody wants to get rid of them. Nobody wants to discipline them. Nobody wants to help them. Rather than discipline and shame and blame and everything, how about we try to help people? Nobody wants to coach them or anything else. A lot of times human resources doesn't want to do their job either, and they're the problem. Or can't do their job. They're prevented from doing their job. So what happens? Now you have a situation where people are not getting fired. People are not being disciplined. People are not being trained. People are not being coached. People are not being blah, 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 blah. And and they're there. Now you have to manage them. It sounds like a rant here. Now you have to manage them. Because I tell you what, if someone is only doing 50% of their job, maybe that's all that you're going to get for that position, number one. You're not going to be able to get anybody to do anything more than that based on pay and everything else. The other thing is that when you fire someone or you lay someone off, it costs money to hire someone new. It costs time. It costs money, opportunity, morale, everything else that goes around with it. So I was talking to a law enforcement person recently retired, and we're talking. I said, well, do you in your workplace, were there people there who had no business being in law enforcement? And he said, yeah, there was all different kinds of people. He said 3 or 4 probably in every department have no business being there. I said, okay, were you able to do anything about it? Management or anything? They said no. I said, well, what do you think? Law enforcement is different than any other workplace out there? There's people who are going to be there. People who want to coast and everything else. How do you manage them? Again, you can't do anything about that unless you're a person in charge. But the question is how are you going to manage it? How are you going to manage yourself? How are you going to prevent, and that's how it is. Or your core group of people. You want to talk about leadership and everything else that goes in there. And we're going to talk about leadership in the very near future, God willing. And that's what I want to do. That's my monologue for today. And this is all monologue. I get it. is what are you going to do, and how are you going to protect your family, your workplace, your coworkers, and everything else from all the safety hazards that are out there? How are you going to prevent yourself from being manipulated? How are you going to have a backbone? That's part of what Safety Wars is to teach you to have and coach you to have some kind of a backbone when dealing with people, because it always is a problem when you go, again, and I heard it today on a project. Well, no other safety person tells us to wear our safety glasses. And I absolutely 100% believe it because of the pushback I get over safety glasses. Look, this is what the rule is. This is what it is. But no other, I believe you that no other, but on this job, you're going to wear safety glasses. On this job, you're going to do this. No, we have procedures in place. We have to follow the procedures. This is what the rules are. So with that, let's take another short break, and we're going to get into our news and everything else.
Safety Wars is streaming now.
SafetyFM.com.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hackneyed? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces. OSHA recordables, first aid cases, catastrophic losses. You want answers? So do I. This is Jim Posel with Safety Wars. Okay, we're going to continue with some financial news today. Again, we get to this before all the other programs, right? That's assuming we uploaded tonight. Dow Jones Industrial. This is Thursday, January 26, 2023. Dow Jones Industrial is up slightly today, 33,949. S&P 500 up 40.60. NASDAQ up 11,512. Russell 2000 up slightly, 1,903. U.S. 10-year Treasury note down slightly, 3.512%. Bitcoin just under 23,000, 22,948. Crude oil still hovering around that $80 level at 81.28. Precious metals, gold up slightly, 1943.70. Silver up slightly, 23.25. Platinum up slightly, 1,039. Palladium up at 17,709.50. So EPA, this is from the EPA news releases. EPA announces latest actions to protect groundwater and communities from coal ash contamination. The agency issues 6 proposed determinations to deny facilities' request to continue safe coal ash disposal. Today, the U.S. EPA announced the latest action to protect communities and hold facilities accountable for controlling and cleaning up the contamination created by coal ash disposal. The agency issued 6 proposed determinations to deny facilities' requests to continue disposing of coal combustion residuals, aka CCR, or coal ash, into unlined surface impoundments. For a 7th facility that has withdrawn its application, Apache Generating Station in Cochise, Arizona, EPA issued a letter identifying concerns with the deficiencies in its liner components groundwater monitoring program. With today's proposed denials, EPA is holding facilities accountable and protecting our precious water resources from harmful contamination, and while ensuring a reliable supply of electricity to our communities, said EPA Administrator Michael S. Regan. We remain committed to working with our state partners to protect everyone, especially those in communities overburdened by pollution from coal ash contamination now and into the future. Coal ash is a byproduct of burning coal in coal-fired power plants that, without proper management, can pollute waterways, groundwater, drinking water, and the air. Coal ash contains contaminants like mercury, cadmium, chromium, and arsenic associated with cancer and various other serious effects. Today's action delivers protections for underserved communities already overburdened by pollution and reflects the Biden-Harris administration's commitment to advancing environmental justice in impacted communities. OSHA. So, here you go. The U.S. Department of Labor has found the U.S. Postal Service exposed workers to struck by electrical, crushing, fire, and other health hazards at facilities in Columbia, Knoxville, and Nashville, Tennessee. I'm assuming it's Tennessee. Columbia, Tennessee, right? I don't know. It's from press releases from Nashville. As a result of these inspections, of these 3 inspections, the department's OSHA cited the mail carrier for 5 repeated, 4 serious, and 4 other than serious violations, with $350,136 in proposed penalties to address safety and health concerns. Let's take a look at this. Yes, they are available. Okay. Again, everyone is innocent until proven guilty and everything else. This is kind of weird because it's like you think the post office is part of the government, but apparently it's not. So it's quasi-government. So they fall under the purview of OSHA. First type of violation, serious. It's 1910.22A2, and what this is, and they have a typo in here, which is surprising. Serious. The employer did not ensure the floor of each workroom is maintained in a clean and, to the extent feasible, in a dry condition. The employer did not ensure that when the wet processes are used, drainage is maintained and, to the extent feasible, dry standing places such as false floors, platforms, and mats are provided. Columbia Post Office mail storage area latrines. On or about 7 or 8/22, and at times prior, the employer exposed employees to a health hazard in that sewage spilling on the floors of the latrines and mail sorting area, resulting from sewage backups not adequately cleaned up. And they said, okay, quote, clean, dry, fecal matter off the floor, end quote. So this was $8,200 fine and change for, quote, clean, dry, fecal matter off the floor. Sorry if you're eating there. Guvno on the floor, right? Type of violation, serious. Number 2, guarding of live parts. Columbia Post Office mail sorting area. On or about 7 or 8/22, and at times prior, the employer exposed employees to an electrical hazard, and that the tilter used in conjunction with the scan machine for processing mail parcels was missing the guard or cover. So this is equipment guarding. This is 1910-303. Okay. Oh, that was a $12,431 violation. Type of violation. This is an extensive one. Repeat violation, serious, for $16,000. Columbia Post Office, right, blah, 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 and times liar. 2 exposed employees to a fire hazard. 2 relocatable power taps supplying 110 volts to power lining of the partition mail booths are connected, aka daisy chained together. You're not supposed to do that. They were previously cited for this at a job site in Carson, California, earlier last year. So, again, this is the same issue as Family Dollar, where you have multiple facilities. I think there's a post office in every town, practically. And, again, too big to... Maybe we should have our own little thing. It's too big to work safely. Maybe that would be a good... Are they too big? I'm going to write that one down here. Hold on, everybody. Too big to work safely. Wow, that sounds like a posalism there. They're too big to work safely. They're huge, and word is not going out. And the other thing is this: with all the other crap going on, and in this case, they had overflowing toilets. Are they going to be? Can they find that one thing, right? That one little thing like overloading a circuit. And what's the total proposed penalties is $62,154. And the other one was a repeat violation. The last one was flexible cords and or cables are used as a substitute for the fixed wiring of a structure. So electrical hazard in that the scan mail parcel system equipment workers were operating was powered by an extension that was plugged into a 110-volt outlet and run up and across structural steel members down to the equipment. Wow. Again, electrical violation there. I mean, too big to succeed? Too big to work safely? Too big not to have OSHA on your ass? I'm writing all this down. Too big to not have OSHA on your ass. Okay. Pardon my French here, guys. I know this is a family program. But anyway, incredible. All right. And again, my question is this. Why are they going after all these things? Right, here you go. Just weeks after being cited with federal safety violations, Dollar General Corp. And Dolgan Corp. LLC have once again exposed workers to unsafe conditions, this time at 2 store locations in Florida and another in Alabama. We did this like 3 times a week. On June 26, 2022, inspectors with OSHA found stores in Middleburg and Green Cove Springs, Florida, had merchandise blocking exit routes, exposing workers to fire and entrapment hazards. OSHA issued citations for 2 repeat violations with $196,000 in proposed penalties. Pardon me. I'm sorry. Couldn't get to the cough button soon enough. Less than a month later, on July 13, OSHA inspectors found again merchandise blocking exit at Dollar General and another place in Alabama, right, exposing workers to hazards. And that was $196,000 for the first case, $205,000 for the second one. In the past 11 months, OSHA inspections at 19 stores in Alabama, Florida, and Georgia have identified dozens of similar violations. These types of hazards prevent serious risk for employees and others in an emergency, as well as the potential for them to be struck by unsafely stacked boxes in storerooms and elsewhere. Since 2017, OSHA has issued more than $15 million, and I'm reading right off of the OSHA website here, right? Non-copyrighted open source data, and cited Dollar General Company or Corporation and Dolgan Corporation for numerous willful, repeat, and serious workplace safety violations related to unsafe conditions in more than 180 inspections nationwide. Dollar General's growing record of disregard for safety measures makes it abundantly clear that the company puts profit before people, said OSHA's regional administrator Kurt Petermeyer in Atlanta. These violations are preventable, and failing to prevent them shows a blatant disregard for the workers on whom they depend to keep their stores operating. OSHA continues to make every effort to hold Dollar General accountable for failures. And going on and on. 7 inspections identified 31 violations that led to more than $2.7 million in penalties in November. And it goes on and on and on and on. So my question is this. Is this too big to work safely? How big is your organization? Are you working in retail, construction, distribution, something with a very large organization? Do you see violations like this? If you're a safety professional or a manager at very large companies, I would be on the phone with the someone in human resources or safety or somewhere saying, is anything else going on in this company OSHA-wise? You could go over to the OSHA webpage and you can click in. You go to the search bar. Here, I'll do it for you right now. And you go on over here, and you go over to the search OSHA in the upper right-hand corner of the webpage, and you put down establishment search. All right. And you see accident data. Where is establishment search? Where is it? And it's not coming up, of course, because they're live on the radio. Oh, here it is. Establishment search. Okay, name your favorite company. I'm not going to name the company, but I'm going to put in a very large fast food company. So from 3 years ago till today, they had 40 visits by OSHA. Most of these look like they're they were closed, nothing, or they were dealing with hold on, here you go. Right, nothing. I'm clicking on a couple of them. They were just referrals for a lot of them. Didn't result in anything here. Any complaints? Well, you could go in here and you could find all different types of stuff. Let's find another one. Let's find another retailer here. The last 3 years, a very big retailer seems to be another one with a target on their back. 312 violations here, or complaints, right? Referrals, things of that nature. So I don't know. I think that's a valid question that you can have it. I think that would be forward thinking. What other problems do we have here? Maybe your corporate culture doesn't allow that. I don't know. Here we go, of course, in Florida. Fake nursing diploma scheme in Florida. 25 arrested. Federal authorities in Florida have charged 25 people with participating in a wire fraud scheme that created an illegal shortcut for aspiring nurses to get licensed and find employment. Recently unsealed federal grand jury indictments allege the defendants took part in a scam that sold more than 7,600 fraudulent nursing degree diplomas in 3 Florida-based nursing schools. Federal officials said during a news conference in Miami on Wednesday afternoon. Prosecutors said the scheme also involved transcripts from nursing schools for people seeking licenses and jobs as registered nurses and licensed practical/vocational nurses. The defendants each face up to 20 years in prison. So how does this translate into what we're doing? Right? These are 2 colleges that are now closed. Siena College, Palm Beach School of Nursing, 3 colleges, and Sacred Heart International University. But anyway, what do you do? What do we see is every time I see an OSHA 30-hour card or 10-hour card or anything, I always double check to see and make sure that it is not a fraudulent card. It may be fraudulent training, but is the card fraudulent? Happens every time. And of course, the person gets annoyed with, what, you think I'm walking around? I say, yeah, all the time. This is Metro New York, dude. Happens all the time. Grand jury probes faulty Goodyear recreational vehicle tires. Federal grand jury in L.A. is gathering evidence in a criminal investigation of Goodyear recreational vehicle tires. The government blames for crashes that killed 8 people and injured dozens. The grand jury subpoenaed, seeking all documents and deposition transcripts. So, it was a result of a 2017 investigation of the tires by National Highway Traffic Safety Administration that resulted in a recall last year. The documents also revealed Goodyear knew that the G159 RV tire could fail and cause serious crashes, or failed to do anything. Again, this is alleged. I don't know where this is going to go. All right. Again, this is still in the news. Past U.S. presidents and VPs are asked to recheck for classified documents. The National Archives have asked former U.S. presidents and vice presidents to recheck their personal records for any classified documents following the news that President Joe Biden and former Vice President Mike Pence had such documents in their possession. So this might be a much larger problem than just Donald Trump. They might have opened up a whole can of worms here. Farm where 4 workers were killed had suffered a shooting last year. This is in San Francisco, and the California mushroom farm where 4 people were killed Monday had another shooting last year where one manager attempted to kill another. Court documents and a case summary from the San Mateo County District Attorney's Office show California Terra Garden manager Martin Medina was charged with attempted murder after he threatened to kill the other manager and then fired a gun into the man's trailer. The bullet went through the trailer and into a neighboring one, and no one was injured. So, again, this is a workplace. If you have workplace violence situations, and again, OSHA does not have a workplace violence thing, that standard, but they do have the general duty clause that is enforced after the fact, ex post facto, even though and I came across a article that that was a legal case. I'm not going to look it up now for more dead air time on hold on. Yeah, on hard hats that specifically had to do with the Occupational Safety and Health Act that came out on the ruling that OSHA, you're supposed to, here it is. Ooh, here you go. There was this is from a regulation, a letter of interpretation from November 7th, 2004, where they quote, the issue was PPE. All right. And the court, in assessing the applicability of these PPE, the courts have focused upon express words of the standard, as well as the purpose of the Occupational Safety and Health Act in Donovan In Donovan versus Adam Steel Erection Incorporated, the court emphasized that, by its express language, the standard applies whenever employees are exposed to a possible danger, quote, a possible danger of head injury, end quote. The court continued, the legislative history that makes clear that, quote, death and disability prevention is the primary intent, end quote, of the act. The act is remedial in nature and does not wait for an employee to die or become injured. It authorizes the promulgation of health and safety standards in the hope that these will act to prevent deaths or injuries from ever occurring. Imminent risk of injury or death to employees should not be required before the Secretary can compel protective action. The court had other things that was specific to that case. So here we have a situation where there was workplace violence last year. I know in many states, including my home state of New Jersey, that I grew up in, just pointing a rifle at someone, pointing a gun at someone, is considered an assault, regardless of what the assault is. So here we actually had possibly, I don't know what the laws in California are, you had an assault. Now, you had murders at this facility here, the mushroom farm, 4 people, right? What did they do last year? And is that employer liable for this? Again, we're trying to prevent injuries and trying to prevent accidents here. I don't know. I don't know what to say here. But this is becoming more and more. No, maybe I'm paying more attention to it. It seems. So anyway, just something you need. We need to concentrate. If you have a problem, you got to solve it at work. And what I would do is make sure so you don't end up like the people on the Rust set. Do everything in writing. If you're getting resistance, do everything in writing, either via text message or via email, something. Right? With that. You can even get the software. You don't even have to write the email. You could go and you could do voice recognition. War news tonight. This is from Kiev. Why can't I speak today? Kiev, Ukraine. Russia fired more missiles and self-exploding drones at nearly a dozen Ukrainian provinces early Thursday, causing the first war-related death in Kiev this year, and killing at least 11 people overall, according to Ukrainian authorities. The attacks adhered to Russia's recent pattern of striking power plants and other critical infrastructure about every 2 weeks. Almost like a machine, right? Every 2 weeks. However, the latest onslaught came after Germany and the United States upped the ante in Russia's 11-month war by promising Wednesday to send high-tech battle tanks to Ukraine and green-lighting all other allies to do the same. The spokesman for Ukraine's state emergency, and this is from the Associated Press, said that in addition to the dead, at least 11 people were killed. Okay, keep escalating it, guys. Let's see where it's going to go. Right? So it's a dangerous game you folks play. So I was in prep for the show. All right. I came across a familiar face in the Staten Island Live, SILive.com. Anthony Galante was sailing the Staten Island ferry boat, Governor Herbert Lehman, from Whitehall Terminal to St. George Ferry Terminal when airplanes hit the World Trade Center. Galante brought the ferry safely to the dock and unloaded the passengers before making the return trip to Manhattan, where he worked tirelessly to bring survivors and first responders there. A little bit of background. My uncle Kenny and was also one of the people doing this evacuation of Manhattan on 9/11. Everybody, including this person, Captain Anthony Galante, everybody involved got Merchant Mariners awards from the Department of Transportation, which is like their highest, I believe it's the highest civilian award, but it's a very high, prestigious award. And once we got to St. George, once the passengers got off, we were held there a little bit, blah, 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 blah. And Galante, 70, died on New Year's Eve 2022 from liver cancer, right? And according to the September 11th victim thing, why did he remain, why is he familiar? Why is this personal for me? I did, after 9/11, and there was another accident on the Staten Island ferry there also. They did 40-hour hazardous waste site operations and emergency response training at the Staten Island ferry. I was the one who gave the training. So we had talked. I remember the face and I remember the name, because Anthony Galante is a very, that name's for whatever reason stuck out to me, and I looked it up, and I did do training for him. Rest in peace, Anthony. Thank you for your service. I just wish things had turned out a little bit differently for you. Some other news here. So CDC, this is from Reuters, U.S. CDC is still looking at potential stroke risk from Pfizer bivalent COVID shot. New data from U.S. CDC. Database shows a possible stroke link for older adults who received an updated Pfizer COVID-19 booster shot, but the signal is weaker than what the agency had flagged earlier in January, officials said on Thursday. The U.S. FDA said that they had not detected a link between the shots and strokes and two other safety monitoring databases. New data was presented at a meeting of outside experts that advised the FDA on a vaccine policy. I'm still going to say, regardless of what's in the news, go to your doctor and get a real assessment with your doctor on what's appropriate medical care for you. I'm not going to mention the name of the celebrity, but this really gets my goat here. So I think it was last week or the week before we had a episode where we talked about using the correct names for things. I'm going to say this, and my wife will get mad at me. Use the correct names for things, yes, but also know what you're putting in your body. This is from CNN today. There's a great deal of conversation recently about celebrities using type 2 diabetes medications, Ozempic, and for weight loss. Semaglutide is the generic name of it. And it also markets under a different name, Wegel, I can't pronounce it. Starts with a W. So one celebrity said she wasn't aware of it. During a recent conversation on a podcast, the celebrity said her anti-aging doctor just hands it out to anybody. Oh, really? I didn't even know what it was. She said, if you ever want to drop 5 pounds, this is good. Ozempic is one of the drugs that's gained popularity via social media as effective for quick weight loss. That has led to complaints that it's causing shortages for those people who need it as part of their treatment for type 2 diabetes. So basically, what my understanding of the illness and everything else that goes in here, right, into it, people are familiar with the word, at least, insulin. Right. And depending on who you talk to, there are 2 basic types of diabetes, type 1 and type 2. There's been some debate in the field that it's actually 5 different types of diabetes, but it's like 4 different types of type 2 diabetes and 1 type of type 1 diabetes, right? And what happens is if your blood sugar you eat and your body converts whatever you eat to sugar, the energy that it doesn't need, the sugar that it doesn't need for running your bodily processes, your body releases insulin to your pancreas and puts that excess sugar into your body as fat, stores it as fat. So type 1 diabetes, for whatever reason, and a lot of times it's genetic. A lot of times it's from a virus. I've spoken to several people who had pancreatic viruses or pancreatitis. Your body stops releasing insulin and your blood sugar goes up. And that blood sugar, insulin is also involved in making that medicine, that glucose in your bloodstream, making your cells use it more efficiently. So you feel like shit, at number 1. And number 2 is your blood sugar is running high, and that causes all different types of damage to your body long term. You have the second type, which is type 2, where your body is still releasing insulin, right, for a time until your pancreas basically shorts out, stops releasing it. And what happens is your body becomes less and less sensitive, so it's not able to lower your blood sugar, and your pancreas can't release enough insulin to bring your blood sugar down. And it goes up and up and up, and with the same thing. Long term, very bad. This is, again, a very simplified version of this. Now, just reading the article. I read the articles and then give you my thoughts on them. So what Ozempic does, so what they do is they have different medications. They have first-line medications, like the generic metformin is one. And then they go to second-line medications, and I won't mention what those are. But one of them is Januvia, brand name Januvia. Another one, Levitra, not Levitra. There's another one, second line. And then there's, eventually, they don't like the doctors don't, by this time you already have usually high blood pressure or something else. Doctors won't want to give you more pills. So what do? They put you on insulin. And insulin is a lifesaver, right? Has some side effects that are not pleasant. Type 1 diabetics, not going to get away from using insulin. Type 2 diabetics, maybe yes, maybe no. But what happens is with Ozempic, it not only causes your body to release its own insulin, it also impacts several other micro hormones, more in micro amounts, that really small amounts. And it's believed, my understanding of it, is that it impacts those as well. And what it is your body gives a much more natural way of responding to high blood sugar. It's a lot easier than insulin, from what people I've heard with insulin, because insulin is just up, down, up, down, up, down. So you have to go on a whole regimen. With this medication, you put it on once, but it has a lot of side effects also. So, for example, nausea. It makes you nauseous. So guess what? You're not hungry, right? You have extreme gastrointestinal distress with this medication and everything else. So a lot of doctors feel are against this because, one, insulin doesn't interfere with any other medications, but the side effects of this there are several significant side effects, along with Ozempic, that a lot of doctors don't want to do. So what's going on is people say, hey, you want to lose 5 pounds? You want to do this? You want to go on this medication? And this is not cheap medication. Only a celebrity could afford it. This is like $900 without insurance, right? So now it's being hijacked, and they use it as a weight loss medication also. I need to lose 5 pounds, vanity pound. Well, we're going to go and use this. I don't know. It seems a little bit, I don't want to say unethical, but it's questionable ethics that they're giving this out to people who, and there's a picture of the actress with this. I don't think that she's overweight. I don't know what to tell you. Now, to her credit with this actress, she said, I'm not going to do it because I'm not taking medicine away from people who need it, like diabetics, clinically overweight people, and hooray for her. I don't want to call her out, though. This was really unreported here. So, by anyone else. Man helped save woman aboard a JetBlue flight. So this was, again, woman passed out in the aisle of a plane. Passenger aboard a New York City plane to Fort Lauderdale is being credited with saving a fellow passenger's life. The woman suddenly fainted on the aisle as the crew was handing out drinks. She might have saw the price of the drinks. I don't know. Had some type of anxiety attack. I half jokingly say that. She experienced a medical emergency. Passengers said that the woman collapsed about an hour into the flight, and the pilot was preparing to make an emergency landing, where a man stepped up, and it's on video, to help the woman. Photos obtained, shared, blah, 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 blah. The man can be sent and rendering aid as other concerned passengers gather around. The person who gave aid was a licensed and trained EMT, according to reports. And the woman got stabilized. They continued onward to their final destination. and the woman was taken off the flight first. And they don't mention the man's name, but I just want to say, hooray for him. And again, you don't know when these tragedies are going to hit, and you got to be prepared for those. Our last couple of stories for tonight, right? Last one story. So they're hoping in California with all this rain, especially with the melt and everything else, that they're going to be out of the drought here in California, God willing, this year. Hopefully it's not going to destroy everything trying to do it. They have had 216% of normal snowpack till this state, right? For that, or at least recorded. I always wonder how they benchmark that, because California's dry sometimes California's wet. So that's all I have for tonight with the news for Safety Wars. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.